Hi guys, this is Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalists. In this case, I'm going to be showing you the Condor Kumunga knife. Someone asked in one of my previous videos about Condor brand. Condor, they mostly do machetes and other knives. They've been doing lately some interesting knives. Condor is producing knives in El Salvador. They, of course, they've concentrated mostly on machetes because of, well, their location in El Salvador. It's in Central America, so imagine there's more of a need for very practical and rugged tools. So that's what Condor has been doing. They've been around for a while. Condor has been doing knives since 1787. And they're pretty good at it, and mostly the thing is that the price is rather interesting because they are high value knives in terms of a good product for a very reasonable price, right? Because of that, it's been gaining a bit of attention lately, and Condor has been doing some interesting things. The Kumunga, which is the knife you see here, is part of a series of three knives. There's the Varan. There's also one other that's called Rodan. It's a 5-inch version of this same knife. The Varan is an 8-inch version, inch version of this knife, and this one is the 10-inch version called Kumunga. So it's Rodan, Varan, and Kumunga. Why those names? I really have no idea. What are those names? Those names are actually monsters from the Godzilla series. So it makes no sense whatsoever. Kumunga is like a giant spider monster, and Rodan and Varan are like big lizards. Yeah, I really don't get it why they came up with those names, especially since this knife is perfectly described as a Sami knife from the Finnish people, or also could be called a liuku, which would be the proper name. Of course, my accent is awful in that stuff. It's the thing is that the Sami knife, or the liuku, is basically the larger version of a puko knife. Puko knives being pretty popular these days, especially among bushcraft folks. It's one of the typical bushcrafty type of knives, about 4 or 5 inches, give or take. If it's bigger, such as this one, it's called a Sami knife, right? It has the typical Sami blade shape, and it has the typical Sami handle as well, right? It's usually made of birch wood, which, well, in this case you have plastic instead, but it would have been a much more reasonable and accurate name, and sounds better actually than Kumunga or giant spider. But to the knife, it's a proven design because it has been around for a while. There's nothing outrageous or outstanding in terms of knife design. There's nothing that innovative about that, and there's nothing wrong with not being innovated if you stick to something that has been proven itself to be useful. It's a typical large Finnish blade shape. All right. You're talking about a 10-inch blade. It's 1075 carbon steel, high carbon steel. If properly heat treated, this type of steel, 1075, should be performing very well for a large knife. You have a spine, a blade thickness of 3/16 of an inch or 4.6 millimeters, right? The balance of this blade is proportionate to the type of knife we're talking about a larger knife that's going to be more of a chopper, a bit blade heavy, I suppose, give or take up like an inch or an inch or an inch and a half above where the grip finishes. You have a typical Scandi grind. It comes sharp out of the box, nicely polished. It could be a bit better, though. It's not shaving sharp, but that's actually something that you can do on your own because it's already a pretty decent job. You have a black epoxy, a black powder coated finish. It's gonna be coming off eventually as you start using it. The only thing that I see that's not that good about this knife is the handle. Here is where they could use some improvement. I don't know if it's because of the market they used to be more used to in Central America or South America. It is a tad too small. My hands are medium large, but not huge, and still I find it to be a bit too small. It could use a bit more of a handle, just a tad too small. Also, it happens to be rounded, which is not the best idea for a handle. It's more comfortable if you have a triangular or more flattened oval shaped than a rounded one. The rounded one is gonna be tiring your hand quicker than if you have a flatter handle, or at least a triangular shaped. It's gonna be tiring you much sooner. Also, something that you can notice here is that the hole for the lanyard is just a bit too high. So imagine if I have a rope going through here and it's coming through here. See that? My hand completely covers it. So I would have a piece of cord right here. It's gonna be making a blister for sure. So it's something that, yeah, that's really not that cool. They should have done that better. Probably, or either putting it down here, or at least making the handle bigger and moving it a bit down so as to not have that problem. Quality, given the price, is very good. I think you're getting a pretty decent knife for the price. It's going for 40, used to be for $30, give or take, so it's not expensive if you take into account that you get a pretty nice knife. 10-inch 1075, properly heat treated, it's gonna be taking a lot of abuse. It's gonna be lasting you more than most people. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, if you take into account that you get a rather nice sheath. This is leather, which is good. It's not the best leather, but it's still thick enough. It's not the best leather because you know about that when it has that bluish tint to it, that usually means that it's not the best quality of leather. But it's thick enough and it's well constructed, so it should be giving you a good amount of service. One of the things I don't like about it is this, that has a 1-point swivel. This is a point of high stress for something that's going to be getting wet, getting used quite a bit. Eventually this is going to be the point where it's going to be breaking. It's impossible for this to last very long, given that, you know, it's just the force concentrated on that point. It's going to be eating through the leather soon enough, eventually. But still, for the price, you're getting a pretty decent sheath, which you sometimes don't get, and you should. But very well made, given the price and what you're paying for it. Again, typical of a Sami knife, the type of sheath, it just buries, including the grip goes into the sheath as well, so it catches there nicely, as a Sami knife would, right? There it is. You do need to make a bit of an effort to get it this way. As it comes out of the box, it's rather flat, and you only can get the blade in, not the handle as well. But if you look at how long it is, you soon realize that it's intended to be used this way. But so as to get it all the way in, you have to use I use a screwdriver and a mini pry bar so as to get it in. Once it's in and you leave it for a couple days, it takes a bit of the shape of the handle. You see how, if you look at it, you realize that it's intended to be used that way. Because if not, you're having like 2 inches left without being used. Instead, if you go all the way in as you're supposed to, that's the way you're supposed to use it. So all things considered, you're getting a very nice knife for the price. There's other knives as well in the line of Condor. I'm going to be showing that in the next video. So if you're interested, keep in touch. Consider subscribing as well. And see you in our next video, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.